What if the end of history was merely a pause? What if the peace we've enjoyed for 30 years was not a resolution, but a long, cold breath held in the dark? Are we living in a new era of progress? Or are we simply watching the shadows of the 20th century stretch out to consume the 21st? The world we thought we knew is fracturing. Beneath the surface of our digital age, the gears of a much older machine have begun to turn once again. This is not a ghost story, though it is haunted by the dead. It is the story of how the Cold War never truly died. It just learned how to hide in plain sight. Before we descend into this chilling reality, I invite you to join us here at History Moments. Subscribe and stay with us as we peel back the layers of a world on the brink. We often speak of the Cold War in the past tense, as a series of grainy film clips and crumbling concrete walls. We remember the fall of the Berlin Wall as a triumph of light over darkness, a moment where the world collectively decided that the brink of nuclear annihilation was a place we never wished to visit again. But was that triumph real, or was it a tactical retreat? To understand the tension of today, we must realize that the ideologies, the grievances, and the silent weapons of that era didn't vanish, they mutated. Why does it feel as though the air is growing heavier? Why do the headlines of today mirror the nightmares of our grandparents? It matters because we are no longer spectators to history. We are the subjects of a revival. This is a story of a silent escalation, a transformation of warfare that has moved from the battlefield to the very screens in our pockets. As you listen to these opening moments, what do you feel is the greatest threat to our modern peace? Tell us in the comments below. To find the roots of this modern chill, we have to go back to the moment the First Cold War allegedly ended. In the early 1990s, the Soviet Union collapsed into a heap of rusted iron and broken dreams. The West declared victory, believing that liberal democracy was the final destination for all of humanity. But in the ruins of that empire, a specific kind of resentment began to fester. It was a humiliation that wasn't forgotten, a greatest geopolitical catastrophe that demanded a reckoning. Small ideas began to take hold in the dark corners of intelligence agencies and bruised ministries. The idea that the West had not won but had merely cheated. The idea that the world was still a zero-sum game where one side's gain was inevitably another's loss. These early influences were subtle, a change in school curriculum here, a quiet reorganization of the secret police there. It was the slow, methodical reconstruction of a fortress within the mind. As these ideas took root, the environment of the early 21st century began to shift. The openness of the internet, once seen as a tool for liberation, was recognized by the architects of this new friction as a gateway for subversion. The old tools of the KGB and the CIA weren't discarded. They were digitized. How long have we been sleepwalking through this reconstruction? If you believe we are entering a more dangerous era than the 1960s, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to History Moments to help us keep these stories alive. The transformation wasn't a single event, but a series of escalations that felt like isolated incidents at the time. A cyber attack on a small Baltic nation, a suspicious poisoning on a London street, a sudden, unexplained blackout in a distant power grid. Each event was a probe, a test of the world's resolve. Slowly, the psychological landscape of society began to shift from cooperation to suspicion. We began to look at our neighbors not as partners, but as competitors in a race for resources and influence. Turning points arrived in the form of regional conflicts that looked like the proxy wars of old, yet carried a sharper, more cynical edge. The lines on the map started moving again. The rhetoric grew colder, the red lines more frequent. We watched as the language of diplomacy was replaced by the language of ultimatums. It was a gradual stripping away of the veneer of globalism, revealing the hard, cold bone of nationalism underneath. This expansion wasn't just physical. It was an expansion into the soul of society. Institutions that were meant to be neutral became battlegrounds. The media became a front line. Science became a tool of prestige. Every aspect of human achievement was once again being measured against the standard of us versus them. Does the repetition of history frighten you? Or do you see it as an inevitable cycle? Comment below and subscribe to join our community of history seekers. The system spread like a digital contagion. It moved through social media algorithms, feeding on our existing divisions and amplifying them until we could no longer hear one another. This was the expansion phase of a war that requires no soldiers to cross a border to be effective. It is a war for the cognitive space, an attempt to dominate not just the land, but the very way we perceive reality. The emotional weight of this constant tension is a burden we all carry now, whether we realize it or not. We see it in the eyes of the younger generation, who grew up with the shadow of a cloud they cannot name. We see it in the crumbling of international treaties that once kept the demons of the nuclear age in check. The expansion of this new Cold War is unique because it is invisible. It doesn't happen in a jungle in Vietnam or a desert in Afghanistan, but in the server farms and the boardrooms of the most powerful corporations on Earth. As the system expanded, it began to hollow out the institutions it touched. Trust, the most valuable currency of any civilization, began to evaporate. When you can no longer trust what you see or hear, where do you turn? This is the ultimate goal of the silent expansion, the total erosion of a shared truth. If you find this breakdown of truth disturbing, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to History Moments for more deep dives into the shadows of our past and present. Then, the climax arrived, the darkest point of this unfolding narrative. It wasn't a single explosion, but the realization that we had crossed a point of no return. We saw the return of large-scale industrial warfare, the kind we promised never again to see on European soil. We watched as cities were turned to rubble in high definition, streamed directly to our devices. The human impact is staggering. Millions displaced, families torn apart by ideologies they didn't choose, and a generation of children learning the sound of an air raid siren before they learn to ride a bike. The shock isn't just in the violence, but in the indifference the world has developed toward it. We have become spectators to a slow-motion catastrophe. The most shocking part of this new Cold War is how quickly we adapted to the possibility of the unthinkable. We talk of tactical nuclear strikes as if they were moves on a chessboard, forgetting that each piece represents a million beating hearts. The consequences are no longer theoretical. They are written in the scorched earth and the empty eyes of the survivors. The human cost is the only true metric of history. Beyond the grand strategies and the great man theories lies the suffering of the individual. We see the mother hiding in a subway station, the elderly man refusing to leave his ruined home, the soldier who realizes too late that the enemy looks exactly like him. This is the peak of the tragedy, the moment where the machinery of the state completely eclipses the value of a human life. How did we allow the world to become this fragile again? Was it arrogance? Or was it simply the passage of time making us forget the price of total war? As we face this climax, your voice matters more than ever. Share your perspective on this modern crisis in the comments. If you value this kind of serious historical analysis, please subscribe to History Moments. In the aftermath of these escalations, the scars are not just on the land, but on the global psyche. Even if the guns fall silent tomorrow, the trust is gone. The long-term effects are a world divided into armed camps once again, where every trade deal is a weapon and every cultural exchange is a risk. We are living in the ruins of the end of history, picking through the debris of a dream that failed. The survivors of this era will be defined by their cynicism. We have seen how easily the world can be tilted back toward the abyss. The societal scars are deep, polarized communities, shattered families, and a profound sense of loss for a future that was supposed to be brighter. We are learning, painfully, that peace is not the natural state of man, but a fragile garden that must be tended every single day with humility and fear. Reflection brings us to a chilling conclusion. This happened because we stopped fearing the darkness. We began to believe that our technology made us superior to the flaws of our ancestors. But human nature hasn't changed. Only our tools have. The same greed, the same fear, and the same thirst for power that fueled the Cold War of the 20th century are fueling the one we face today. What is the lesson of this ultimate Cold War? Perhaps it is a warning that history is not a line moving toward progress, but a circle. If we do not recognize the patterns, we are doomed to repeat the suffering. We must look at the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. We must be the generation that chooses to break the cycle, or we will be the one that is broken by it. What do you think is the one thing that could stop this cycle of conflict? Is there a lesson we are missing? Join the conversation in the comments below. Your support allows us to continue making these documentaries, so please subscribe to History Moments.